Hey there, friend. Welcome back to another episode of the W2 Prison Break Show. Really appreciate you tuning in every week and helping me on this mission to inspire 1 million people to quit their job and start the business of their dreams. That's a big, big goal that I have. I write it down every single day. And if this is something that inspires you, I'm just going to ask a favor. I know it's a big one, but if you like this content, if you like the show, leave us a rating and review. And more importantly, share it with someone. If you know someone who feels stuck in a job that they hate and they just don't know the first steps, this show is dedicated to doing that. Because that was me not too long ago. I was stuck in a job that I hated for years and years and years, and I just didn't know how to break free. And I want to share all that with you. And I'm going to share all that with you. So if you could help me support that mission, I'd be super, super grateful. Okay. So today's topic is how you can make $100,000 per month, why you can make $100,000 per month. I'll give you a quick backstory here of the topic. A few weeks ago, at the time of this recording, a few weeks ago, I put a video up on TikTok, and yes, I'm nearly 50 years old and I do have TikTok. So that's been kind of fun, kind of interesting. I'm enjoying it. But I put a video out because I kept seeing this same message repeated over and over again every time I logged in, which was make $10,000 a month in 90 days, working 4 to 5 hours per week. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. Like, this is, while that is achievable, it is not at these mass levels that all these people were claiming. And I just wanted to share my thoughts with that because the majority of these folks, number one, are not making $10,000 per month. They're trying to gain a following, sell you some coaching, sell you a course, promote themselves, which is fine. I just wanted to call it out, right? I thought it would be kind of cool to call it out. And then the big thing was, for me, I'm like, you can do that. You could make $10,000 a month in your job. If you're in a W-2 job, I'll give you a statistic. If you're a college graduate with a business degree, last year, 2022, like the average salary was $50,000. So, I mean, you're already halfway there to being in a W-2 job, right? So let's think bigger. Let's think bigger. I said, let's go to $100,000 per month. And I'm going to show you how to do it, right? And I gave 3 different ways. The video actually performed quite well. I mean, for me, for my page, which is a pretty new account, I think I've got like 25,000 views on it. So it was pretty awesome. People really liked it. And I said, hey, I'm going to do a part 2. And I gave 3 different ways. I'll give you the 3 ways right now. And then I'm going to talk about the number 1 way, which is real estate, or the one that I used, to leave my job. So the 3 ways were real estate, okay, and specifically buying using creative financing strategies, which is what I do, and I'll get to that in a minute. The second way was affiliate marketing, but I said high ticket, right? So think about things that you've used, products that you've used, or services that you've used over the years that have worked for you, that have solved some type of problem, like you've gotten a result out of it. And go ahead and sign up for their affiliate program. Most products and services do, not all, but a lot of them do. And then go promote that. And you can do that with credibility because you've actually used the product, versus what you're seeing a lot on the internet, which is people just go find a product that sells well and they put up their own store and they try to sell it. I'm not saying that doesn't work. I'm just saying that that's a difficult model and maybe something that you really couldn't get behind. So find a product or service that you've used, that you've loved. For example, I promote high ticket coaching programs, courses, and then also, I'll give you one example. I secured business funding for my business, 0% business credit cards for my business. And I had such a great experience with that. I wanted to share it. So I signed up for their affiliate and I told people, hey, this is what works for me. And every time that somebody signs up, I get a commission. So I didn't really have to do anything except for tell people about it. Like, hey, this is what it did for me. This is the problem that it solved for me in my business. You can do that really with anything. I just want you to think about those things or those services that you've used. The third thing was an online course. Like, this is a $1 billion industry. Okay. So selling digital products online, whether it's a course or a book, you have knowledge. Like, we're all good at something. Don't ever sell yourself short, because you are great at something, like, and better than a lot of people. Okay. And you don't have to be like a quote unquote expert or authority in this. You just have to be a little bit better than a lot of people, like a few steps ahead, if you will, right? So think about what you're really, really good at, and then you can put a course together. And if your offer's right, then you can really nail it and make money and charge. And that's, repetitive income. Like, you only have to make the product or service one time. And then as long as you promote it the right way, and, you can do it a myriad of ways. I might do a podcast on that later down the road, but that was the third way, is by selling your knowledge. Okay. Again, $1 billion industry. So don't sleep on that. And those were the 3 ways that I gave to get to $100,000 per month. Now, what we're going to talk about today is real estate, and specifically creative financing, which is what I use to buy all of my properties. And that's how I left my job in 9 months after trying for over 2 decades, almost 25 years. And I'll give you just a quick backstory on this. If you've never listened to the show, if you have listened to the show, I worked in sales for 25 years. I was in the same job for 17 years, and I was flying a lot. I was gone a lot. I was traveling 100,000 miles per year on average. And I was away from my family. I was gone all the time. Every other week I was on a plane, right? And I had a young son. I still have my son. He's just not super small anymore, but I was missing him grow up. Like, I'd come home. He looked different. He was speaking different. And one day he said to me, "Hey, Dad, I don't like it when you leave, man. I'm afraid to be in the house with Mom by myself." And, that just really, really started to eat away at me, started to chip away at me, and really propelled me to finally take control of my situation, stop being afraid, and to take action, because I was in analysis paralysis mode for years. I had named my real estate business 7 years before I started it. I was just in consumption mode, like, let's get all this knowledge, but take no action. Huge mistake. It's good to have knowledge, but you have to do something. You have to take action. So fast forwarding, I finally had the courage. I finally took action, and I hired a coach to teach me how to buy properties with no money down, no banks, and not having to sign personally. Okay, that is the creative financing model. You don't have to go qualify to buy properties. I'm going to give you an example of how to do that. To do this, basically 3 main ways. You either buy on a lease purchase, or you buy it subject to the seller's existing loan, or you can buy on owner financing. I'm going to give you an example of buying a house subject to an existing loan. Let's give an example, okay? I actually just did this. The numbers are not going to be exact, but they're going to be similar. So let's say you have a seller who can't sell their house conventionally, which represents a lot of people, regardless of what you see or hear on TV or clickbait. People can't sell their homes. We talk to hundreds of sellers a week, and I'm telling you, people cannot sell their properties, especially now with interest rates being super high, inflation, and uncertainty in the market. Like, prices are coming down or they're stabilizing. Homes are sitting on the market longer than they were earlier in the year when everything was flying off the shelf. So, but people still need to move. Okay. People still need to go somewhere. They get relocated for their job. They lost their job. They had a family event, like a death. They inherited a property. I mean, there's so many reasons why sellers don't sell. Okay, or why they want to sell. It's called motivation. That's what we need to find when we're talking to people. Tired landlords. I mean, the pandemic made a lot of people hate the landlord business and want to get out of it, because unfortunately, tenants weren't paying because they lost their job, and some of them took advantage. But that's what happened, and you have a lot of tired landlords who want to sell but can't. So this example I'm going to give you is someone who couldn't sell conventionally. A seller couldn't sell conventionally, but they had to move. They already committed to moving. They bought another place. They couldn't sell this one. he had a loan in place, okay? And the loan was at a low interest rate because he had bought the house back in 2020. So I said, okay, look, I'll take over your payments for you. All right, I'm going to give you the price that you want for the house, but I'm going to take over your payments. That's step number one. The deed is going to transfer to me. So I'm not, when I say take over payments, I'm not talking about assuming their loan. I'm talking about I'm making your payments. Like the loan stays in your name and the deed transfers to me. I make the payments directly to the bank every month. Now I own the house. Okay. And then if there's equity in the house, we make a plan for that. Like I'm going to pay him as equity over 10 years. There's a bunch of different ways we can structure these types of deals. I'm not going to go over that today. I'm just going to give you like the basics of how it works. And then I'll give you some resources at the end. So stick with me to the end of the show. I'll give you some resources on how you can learn this for free. All right. So we make a plan for the equity if there is equity. If not, we usually just cover the closing costs, the deed transfers, and the seller gets to move on and they're happy, right? They're getting their payments made every month. They never have to worry about this house again. Now what I do, there's a few things you can do. Number one, you could go rent the house. So let's just say that on that $200,000 house, the mortgage payment's about $1,300 a month. And I could go rent that house for $1,700 per month. All right. So I've now all of a sudden created a $500 spread versus what I'm getting for rent versus what I have to pay on the mortgage. All right. With no money out of my pocket except for closing costs, which I would use private money to do anyways. But even if closing costs were a few $1,000s, like the return on the $500 per month is going to be so huge. I can tell you right now, I can rent that house for much higher than $1,700. But for this example, I'm giving you $500 a month. Now do the math. You get 100 of those at $500 a month. That's 50 grand a month just in rental income. All right. Not bad. I'm going to give you a way to accelerate that because the other thing that you can do is, and what I love to do and what we teach and what we coach, and I'll get into that in a minute, is I go find a buyer. Right? Especially now with buyers who are getting flushed out of the conventional market because interest rates are so high, people can't qualify, but they're worthy, like they have income, they have good credit. I go out and I find a buyer and I put them in the home on a lease to own or rent to own situation. So I buy the house for $200 from the seller. Let's say I sell it to the buyer for $250,000 in this example. So I have a $50,000 price premium because I bought the house so well and because I'm locking in a price for the buyer way out in the future. I collect a down payment from the buyer, $25,000, which is 10% in this example. That gets credited towards the price. That goes to us. We keep that. It's non-refundable. Now I've just created $25,000 plus the $500 a month cash flow. And then I still have a $25,000 price premium left over. Okay. I hope that makes sense. Again, I'm going to give you some resources that'll explain this further, but I have $25,000 left over, which I will get on the back end years down the road, plus all the loan pay down that's happening while the buyer's in the house paying the payment. Okay. So you do that. Now you've got the $25,000 per month plus the $500, plus you're going to get all this money on the back end, right? Now think for a second that you could do that multiple times a year, once a month. Like what if you could do one of those a month? How fast are you going to get to $100,000? I mean, it's not going to take you that long. It'll take you a few years to get to that rate just using real estate. I mean, I gave you 3 methods at the beginning of this, but I'm just talking about this one method, which is why it's so critical to learn this. Now, the other thing I'm going to tell you about creative financing is you don't have to have a loan. All right. In fact, roughly 40% of all homes in the United States are owned without a mortgage. Okay. 40% have no debt on them. So you can go to sellers who are in similar situations, can't sell, or maybe they don't want their money. They don't want a lump sum. They'd rather take payments. This happens a lot, by the way. You can go to them and structure something on owner financing. They can be the bank. They can finance you, and you can do the same exact thing. Make monthly payments to them, and then place a buyer in the home or rent the house, or you could even do an Airbnb. It's not something I do, but you can definitely do that. All right. So those are the 3 ways, and that's like a breakdown on creative financing. Now I'm going to give you some resources to learn this, again, for free, and from the people who taught me how to do it. Okay. Smart Real Estate Coach, Wicked Smart. Shout out to them, to Chris and Zach and Nick and the entire team. I coach for them. So I'm doing this. I'm in the trenches, and I'm also helping other students to learn this in other parts of the country. And we're doing a bunch of deals. And I'm telling you, now is the time while the iron is hot and things are shifting with foreclosures are up from 3 million to 10 million now, pre-foreclosures. And interest rates are really making an impact. So I would encourage you to learn this. And the first step for you is to take a 45-minute free master's class. Okay, I'm going to leave a link in the show notes. And I'm going to leave this in the exact order that I'm saying it right now. All right, so take this master's class. It's 45 minutes. It's free, and it's going to give you the basics. The next thing I want you to do is grab your free books. Okay, if you go to wickedsmartbooks.com/W2 Prison Break, you will get 2 free books, Real Estate on Your Terms, and you'll get Deal Structure Overtime, which I have a chapter in, by the way. So just for that reason, you got to go get it. It'll be shipped to you for free, right? In all seriousness, it's 100% free. Then you're going to want to come to our Thursday events, the Wicked Smart Sit Down. It's every Thursday at 3 p.m. It's free. It's about 45 minutes. We talk about deals. You'll get to see the community. My mug's always on there, so you get to see me talking. If you want to spend a little more time, but it's we're going to teach you more about creative financing and what we do. We talk about the status of the market. Sometimes we bring guests on there to talk about different areas, of your business or your personal life. And we have a lot of mindset stuff on there, just other assets for you. And I'll tell you the great thing about the community and what I've learned. I mean, other than leaving my job, I mean, I'm in a different place right now than I was 3 years ago, even 4 years ago. I'm on a different path, right? One that I didn't necessarily see. I see it super clearly now. But just the community, right? Just being around people who think similarly and they all want to leave their job. Most of them do. Some of them don't. Some of them just want kind of a side gig, but mostly everyone in the community, they really want to leave their job and take control of their situation. And it's cool to see when it happens. And we've helped a lot of people do that. And it gives me a lot of satisfaction. And I didn't think it would. I really wasn't ready for that. In addition to all the people that you're going to help if you start doing these deals with sellers. Like, you're going to help sellers. Like, it's pretty awesome when a seller says, hey, you were my only out. Like, I didn't know what I was going to do here. I thought I was going to lose a house. You helped me out of a jam. And same with buyers. Like, I never thought I was going to be able to buy a house. And you helped me. Thank you. Like, that's pretty awesome. The money part's cool, but that's really, really, really awesome. So I want you to take those steps. It's important to take action, okay? Don't get consumed in taking content and getting addicted to content. You want to make sure that the knowledge is important, but you got to take the action. You got to take the steps. That's going to be the difference. Taking action is going to be the difference between you getting to the top of the mountain or you getting to quit that job versus not doing it. That's the differentiator, not how much you know, not how many YouTube videos you watch, how many podcasts you listen to. It's taking action. You have to do that. So the first action step is to go watch that class. Make sure you're subscribed to the show. We're going to be talking a lot about different ways that you can quit your job and all the tools that you need. I'm dedicated to that. I really, really appreciate you listening and sharing the show with someone who you think needs to hear this message. Make it an outstanding day.